Sponsored by Taylor Freelance, Rainier Ballistics, Hodgson Powders, and JPL Precision.
Hi, welcome to Power Factor. I'm Larry, and this week we're going to be talking a little bit more about shooting 40 open in USPSA and specifically in the Glock platform. So if you don't already know, the open division is the full-on race division for USPSA, which is currently, at this time anyway, the only division that allows an optical sight and ported or compensated barrels and extremely long magazines. The longest magazines in the sport at 171 millimeters overall length is the limit on those guys. So, and that's like the top fuel dragster division. And if you're new to the show, or maybe didn't catch the episode when I talked about the Glock that I won a Glock in GSSF indoor league, and I figured, hey, that'll be a great platform to begin my quest for a 40 open gun. So I've announced that that's what I'm going to do. I don't have it yet. I don't even have the pistol yet from Glock. It's still, I don't know. That process began in mid-March, so I'm still probably a couple months out before I even receive the pistol, before I can start cutting on it and making it into what I want to make it into. But you know me, I'm goofy a little bit in terms of my platform choices and caliber choices, and I've shot 40 open before, and I'm going to do it again. I like 40 caliber. I don't know. It's easy to reload. I get to use all the same magazines I've already got for my limited gun, and I don't have to mess with my reloading press and whatever. It's just it's fun for me. It's just a fun game for me. I'm never going to win nationals. I don't care if I've got the perfect 9mm Limcat JPL Precision open pistol. It's not like I'm going to win a match, an area match or nationals anyway, so I'm just in it for fun. So anyway, a friend of mine caught wind that I was talking about building a 40 open gun. He goes, well, hey, I've got for the Glock. He's like, I've got one if you want to try it out sometime. And this is over the last month or so, and we kind of crossed paths, or we're unable to cross paths at a match. And then this past weekend I shot a match which is closer to where he lives, and he couldn't be there, but he dropped off his pistol with the match director, so I'm going to show that to you now. He didn't drop off the whole pistol. He dropped off just the top end. So this is my frame that I would normally run my Glock 35 limited gun in. So this is classified in USPSA as an open pistol because it has an optic writing on the slide here, but it's an optical sight, red dot sight, and the compensation is by the way of these barrel ports. Now, this is some old school stuff here, and if you're not a competitor, if you're a casual plinker and just a kind of average handgun owner, this probably looks really trick to you. And let me show you even what makes it even more. It'll even blow your mind if you're not in this world here. Look at that. So the barrel has a raised rib with these ports that are in it, and of course the slide is there's a corresponding cut out of the slide. So there's just there's a cut that's just made all the way down the middle of the slide here to make way for that barrel with that raised rib. There's a look at it there. There is a little front sight on there. I don't know. That's what he's got on there, and it's actually not really a bad thing. You don't see it when you're shooting, but it does kind of help you find the end of the barrel when you're drawing the pistol and coming up, and it helps guide that, keep that gun straight until the dot appears from the optic. At least that's what I found. So yeah, so if you're, like I say, if you're just kind of a casual plinker, this is going to look like pretty trick stuff here. There's 8 ports in this barrel. It's a 40 caliber barrel built on a Caspian Glock 24 slide. If you've been around the sport for any amount of time, if you've been around the sport for a short amount of time, this also might look a little bit foreign to you. This concept is kind of an old one. In this, I don't know when this. Certainly in the 90s, I would say. Certainly that this pistol was probably built in the 90s, to be honest. And you can't even get this barrel anymore, at least not for the Glock, and at least not from KKM. This is a KKM barrel, and I was checking their website recently because of talking about shooting this gun. I was kind of looking into it. They don't even offer this anymore. This used to be a common offering for them, and it's not in their product lineup. I don't know if you could call them and beg them to make you one if you really wanted one. And they made them for all the other lengths of guns as well. The Glock 19 size, the compact, the full size Glock 17, 22. This being the Glock 24, which is in Glock parlance, that's a 6-inch barrel. And so anyway, this is kind of old school, but it still kind of works. And I tried it out. I did get the chance to try it out at a match, and it was kind of fun. It was fun to shoot the dot again. It's the first time I've ever shot in competition anyway, a dot mounted to the slide, and I didn't feel like it was too terrible. I mean, the thought process is that optic is cycling with the slide, and when you normally would mount that to the frame, then the slide is cycling underneath it, and it's stable or somewhat stable, so you're watching that dot the whole time, and it never, hopefully never leaves your attention, that you bang on this target, bang, bang, and then you're watching that dot the whole time between shots, and you're transitioning to the next target. It's a little harder to track it on this, but really only if you've got muzzle flip, because it's the angle of the gun. You have to have the angle right in order to see the dot reflecting off of this lens. If you're able to keep this gun cycling as flat as possible, and they're never going to be perfectly flat, but if you keep it as flat as possible, in that instance that gun cycles, you're right back on target, I found. And yeah, probably not as good as a frame mount, but good enough to have fun with anyway. We've got a really good shooter in our area named Nick, and he's one of these guys that he can and has been in the top 5 at nationals shooting open with traditional open gun. But when I first met Nick, he was shooting an STI with a hybrid barrel just like this, Schumann brand barrel in a 2011 STI. Probably 6 holes on the top of the rib, ribbed barrel, just like this, 6 or 8 holes, and we were shooting weekly indoor fun matches, run by USPSA people, set up like USPSA matches, but not official USPSA stages. Just kind of, it's a way, and they still hold these matches. Different people are running them, but it's a way to get the public interested in the shooting sports and say, hey, well, if you like this, go do the real thing out there. And so anyway, back when I met Nick, he was running an STI that was in this same configuration, 5 or 6 inch gun with a hybrid barrel is what they call this. And he would regularly blow out the fluorescent tube lights at the indoor range. So he's going through the Classifier, and if he happened to be standing underneath one of these fluorescent tube lights, the gases exploding out of this thing had enough concussion to break the lamps. And Nick is good enough that he would say that as he's shooting, he would notice that the lights would go out, and he would just suck the gun in, and the light would fall down, and then he would advance through the course of fire. So it's just amazing how much concussion can come out of these things. I mean, so I did a little, just kind of a rough measurement. There's 1.5 inches of bullet travel before it gets to this first hole, and the porting, of course, what it does is the gases from the cartridge are venting upwards, which has an equal opposite reaction to push the muzzle down. This is not as good as a full compensator, which, if you've seen them, they screw onto the end of the barrel, and there's ports going upward, and the bullet passes through each of these chambers and the baffles that separate the chambers. And not only do you get the gas entering this compensator and turning upward and venting upward, pushing your muzzle down, but you also get the benefit of the gases slamming against that baffle, where there's a hole that is somewhat tightly fit to the bullet. I mean, of course, it can't be too tight. You don't want the bullet touching it. But as the bullet passes through, those gases slam against that baffle and also yank the gun forward. So the traditional compensator, what we think of as a compensator these days, does both reduce muzzle flip and reduce recoil. This has just as much recoil back into your hand as a limited gun, I feel. But the venting of the gases out of these ports tame the muzzle flip. So it was fun to do, fun to shoot this thing. It was the first time I'd ever shot this top end. Like I say, first time I'd ever shot a slide mounted optic in any kind of action, rapid action sport. I've tried one once, just kind of slow fire, just to kind of see. One thing I'll say is picking up the dot is a piece of cake. When that thing comes out of the holster, I mean, this is my frame, so I'm very familiar with the way this feels. And it comes out of my holster, and I come up to see the sights, and that dot is right there where the sights would kind of normally be. The focus is on the targets, not on the sights. You normally would, with an iron-sighted gun, you're watching the sights and trying to see the relationship of those sights between the front and the rear and the target. Shooting open, you just focus on the target, you bring the gun up, and that dot is hovering in space there, and you're not really seeing the gun, and you're not really seeing the optic, you're seeing the target, and with this dot hovering on it, and then you put it where you want it and pull the trigger. So that's what also makes shooting open a bit faster than the other divisions, is that rapid target acquisition and not having to align these 3 points in space: rear sight, front sight, target. Now it's just put the dot on the target and pull the trigger. Okay, so before we get into the match video, because like I say, I did shoot this in a match, I'll just anecdotally just say that the guy that owns this was extremely enthusiastic about me trying this out. Like I say, he heard through the grapevine I was interested in shooting a .40 open gun again, and especially on the Glock platform. So he was very eager for me to try this out. And John, I don't know why you're so eager for me to try this out. Either you're trying to sell this thing, or you just wanted somebody to clean it. So when I first got it, I picked it up at the range. He left it with the match director. I went and sighted it in. He told me it wasn't sighted in. It was good on windage, but I had to adjust the elevation a little bit, and then we were good to go. But it was dirty as heck, and the fit is extremely tight on my frame, and I think that's just because it's Caspian and they probably cut it tight, so it's not as sloppy as a Glock. I mean, that's what you're paying for, right? All the tight tolerances and everything else when you go to custom stuff. But I think that does take away from its reliability a little bit, and maybe the fact that it was so dirty also might have cut into its reliability a little bit. So you'll see I had a few malfunctions on the videos. We talked about the long magazine. If you're not familiar, this is the length of a 171 millimeter magazine, sticks out of the gun yay far. The 171 millimeters is measured along the spine of the magazine, and there's an official gauge for that. I think we've shown it before. And hey, look at that, one just fell out of the sky. So this is the official magazine gauge. This cutout here is for your base pad in case it extends, well behind the spine of the magazine. And then this angle cut here is kind of supposed to match the feed lips. And if it fits, it ships. So there you go. The mag drops right in there under its own weight, under gravity, not forcing it down, which sometimes sometimes the follower sticks out enough that you feel like you got to force it down in order to fit in here. But it is supposed to fit in here under its own weight. There's a couple of little pads that are just barely raised up, and if it's touching both of these pads, you're good to go. The other side of this is for a 140 millimeter magazine for limited division. You can see how much shorter that is right there, 30 millimeters. So anyway, so that's what it looks like in the gun. This is I think I might have shown off this magazine before. I don't remember why, but I feel like I've done this before. This is a factory Glock 22 round, 40 caliber magazine with a Taylor Freelance +3. And the spring, I bought the magazine brand new. The spring was pretty tight initially, and I could really only squeeze 24 rounds into it. I was able to get 25 now as of this match. So it's, yeah, it's a full length magazine. It fits the gauge as long as it can be. And as far as 40 caliber goes, 25 capacity is pretty good. I think in, I don't know, my STI, I think I might have had 25 also, but maybe it was 26. Don't quote me on that. But anyway, had a couple of malfunctions in this match, and I guess you'll see that on the video, and we'll talk about them as they come about. So let's get right into it. The first stage we shot Bay 5, and this is at the Custer Sportsman's Club. Basically Custer, Washington, Lyndon, Washington. It's south of Blaine, which is right at the border. So we're 6 miles from Canada, up on Interstate 5 at this club. This is known as the Sandbox. It's the deposit here, this glacial deposit is just all sand. So yeah, we'll get right into the first stage, and we'll talk about my performance, talk about stage design a little bit, and go from there. Thanks.
Shooter ready. Stand by. Two, 0, 7, 3. If you're finished, unload, show clear. Clear, slide down, press trigger, holster. Range is clear.
All right, so that was our first stage of the match. That was in Bay 5. I think that makes it stage 4, actually, the way they had skipped some bays and stuff. So you see the malfunctions I had. First, let's talk about the stage design real quick. So 3 targets on each side, 2 poppers on each side. 3 rounds per paper target for a total of 11 rounds on the left, 11 rounds on the right, and the stage procedure was mandatory reload before going to the second array, whichever one you shot first, mandatory reload before going to the second one. Well, I don't know if I want to get too deep into that, but kind of pissed off the production shooters because they start with 11 in the gun, that's 10 plus 1, and then so they go to slide lock if they shot perfectly, and then go to the other side and shoot 10. Now they're at slide lock again and have to reload again, and I don't know, there was a little bit of consternation there. Everybody shooting 10 rounders had the same issue to deal with, but my issue was that wasn't even a legal stage because it's you can't have a mandatory reload on a field course and only on standard exercises, and there's certain things that make this not a standard exercise, and that's because of round count. I think if it was, I didn't count, 2, 4, 6, 8. I think that if it was only 2 rounds per target, they could have called this a standard exercise. I believe, I'd have to look that up to be precise. But anyway, so we had this kind of illegal stage going on, and illegal in terms of the rules of designing stages. But anyway, that's what it was. We figured out exactly what they meant by mandatory reload. We got all that written up. We were the first squad there, so we got it squared away for everybody else and did a proper notation on the stage procedure. And we proceeded to shoot it, and as you see, it's a little shooting box. I don't know if you can see that, but you're standing in a little shooting box. You're just kind of right up against that wall the whole time. Start position, hands on the X's, and 3 rounds per paper, 1 on steel, knock them down. And I shot 3 rounds and then chambering the 4th round, malfunction. So now here's the first time I've ever shot the gun. I got a malfunction. So I clear it, finish that side, make my mandatory reload, start shooting the other side, have another very similar malfunction. And what's happening, what I think is happening is essentially that the magazine spring, or sorry, not the magazine spring, no, recoil spring. The recoil spring's too strong on this thing. So the spring that was in the gun was way heavy and had some issues just in function testing and sighting it in. So I got rid of that spring and I just put my recoil assembly from my limited gun in here, which is a 15-pound spring cut down by a few coils and used for a few years. So that's equates to about, I don't know, 13 and a half, 14 pounds. Yeah, probably 13 and a half pounds, something like that, which is really kind of heavy for an open gun. So when you have the gases exiting these ports, forcing the barrel down, not only the slide and everything, but specifically the barrel is being forced down. This barrel has to unlock from the slide here by dropping down, of course, like so. It has to drop down by camming into the what do you call it, the locking block. But before it can do that, you know, the slide's trying to recoil and the barrel's trying to drop down, but it's being resisted by the force here, which is, you know, in turn pushing this up here at the chamber end. So you have to wait, the gun has to wait until all these pressures really bleed down, and then by that time there's less energy left to cycle the slide. So therefore you need lighter springs when you've got this compensation happening. And I was shooting, by the way, a load that was designed for an open gun. Many episodes back, half a dozen, I don't know, 6 or 8 episodes back, we talked about chronoing for 40 open. And we'll continue a little piece at a time chronicling my 40 open build. But that chrono, I was loading the CFE pistol from Hodgdon with Rainier's 135 grain bullets. And at 8.0 grains, which is the starting load by Hodgdon, I was making major, but just barely. So I had shot 10 rounds in that episode, so I had 90 left, and I loaded up a batch of 8.3 grains, and which should, you know, be major, no problem. And I just kind of was sitting on them. And then, like the night before the match, the guy said, "Hey, I left the gun for you. You can go check it out if you want." So I said, "Shoot, I'll go try it out and bring the proper ammo." So I was shooting the 135 grain bullet with the powder charge that is designed to work these compensated guns. So I had plenty of gas coming out of these ports. So anyway, I really do think that's the reason for the malfunction of the gun. Not the malfunction of this brain here, but the malfunction of the gun. So anyway, just kind of wasn't prepared for that. But, you know, just kind of doing this for fun, just kind of checking out some new equipment for the first time. And so after the malfunctions we had on this stage, out of all of 10 open shooters, which is not a whole lot, but out of 10 open shooters, I was 7th overall on that stage with my malfunction. No penalties or anything, just had the malfunction, which added a bunch of time. It took me 20.7 seconds with a hit factor of 5, compared to the hit factor of the stage winner, hit factor of 9 almost, with a run of 11.5 seconds. So, 9 seconds extra is how much time I spent. I know I didn't spend 9 seconds on that malfunction, although, I don't know, maybe I did, honestly. Between 2 malfunctions, I probably did waste about 8 seconds. I don't know, I'd have to go back and kind of look. But, so my time might have been right up there with the stage winner. So, there you go. So let's take a look at the next one we shot, which is going to be stage 5 in Bay 6, I think they call it. This is the jungle run. It's all out in the trees and stuff. You'll see.
Shooter ready. Stand by.
Oh shit, really?
Unload and show clear. Slide down, press the
I
trigger.
never even saw those.
21.97.
I like your if though, thanks.
All right, so that was stage 5. Looked good, right? No malfunctions. Of course, that's what was on my mind the whole time was malfunction. When's the malfunction going to come? I'm waiting for it. I'm ready for it. Wasn't really thinking much about the shooting, but you know, didn't really have to think too much about it. I was fairly well focused on those first 6 shots, which was pretty good distance and through some trees, you know, shooting through leaves and stuff. You could have ran up there, but I was like, why would I do that? You know, I have a dot, so I'll just shoot him from back here. And then, you know, running up the left side, you don't even need to be aiming at those things. You could touch the targets if you wanted to. But the whole time I'm thinking, when's the malfunction coming? And so what happened before the video even started here, between the last stage you saw and this stage, I was running around all over the place trying to find a lighter spring. I was digging through my bag. I was checking the spring that came with the gun just to verify, you know, at the safety table, like change this spring. And no, that one's way heavier than the one I brought. So let me put the one back in that I brought. And I'm going to go find my bag and see if I got a lighter spring in there. Maybe one that's actually rated at 13 pounds. So I know for sure but I know 13 is kind of the lightest I've ever bought because I shoot limited and I shoot production with these guns and not Glock, not open yet. So I knew I didn't have anything like a 10 or 11 pound spring, but I was hoping to find something in my bag. And so I'm running all around and they're like, oh, hey, there you are. Hey, you're up. So do you want to walk the stage again? I'm like, so I walked it once before I went hunting for springs. And then I came back and the shooter had just finished up and they said, oh, by the way, you're up next. So like, do you want us to move you down so you have time to kind of gather your thoughts and everything? I was like, nah, I got it, no problem. So, I walked it once. I found the spots where I want to shoot from, especially the start position and especially the at the end there at the table. The table had a couple little notches in it. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I see if I stand at this notch, I can see those 2 poppers, and then if I move over a little bit, I can see those other 2 poppers. So what you might not have noticed, certainly what I didn't notice, was that there was 2 more poppers down there behind another barrel, which I never even saw. Never was not paying attention at all. One thing you have to do, and I wasn't even thinking about all this stuff, but one thing you really have to do is to count the shots on the stage. When you're doing your walkthrough, count the shots. You read the sheet, it says it's 32 rounds or whatever it happens to be, and you have to count the shots. To make sure you found all the targets. So I didn't do that. I just I walked it from beginning to end one time. Okay, yeah, sure, there's the targets. No problem. And then, like I said, I was running all over the place. Hey, it's your turn. Screw it, I'll just go. No problem. And I ran down there, did pretty well. The gun ran fine. I hit my positions on shooting those 4 poppers. What I didn't do was never noticed the other 2 poppers behind the other barrel or flanking that other barrel. And what's kind of hard to see in the video, there's a paper target there in the shadows, which it's so shaded, I didn't see it either. Wearing my darker lenses on my Rudy sunglasses, I didn't even see it over there either. I think I saw it during my first walkthrough, but it's not what I was thinking about when I was gearing up to shoot the stage. So I was just thinking, hit that spot on the table, you know, there's a notch in the table. Just get there, get those 4 poppers, and then whip around and back in the trees. There's 2 more targets over there, and that's all I was thinking about. So obviously my performance is not going to be so great on that stage. What do you think? So missing the popper, there's a -10. Missing the other popper, there's a -10. 2 misses on the paper target, that's a -10 each. So now I'm down 40 points. Oh, and by the way, there's 3 targets you didn't engage. So there's -10, -10, -10 for failure to engage penalties. So a total of -70 points off of whatever score I was able to rack up, which was 133 points minus 70 is bad news. 9th place out of 10 in open division on that one. We don't even have to discuss what I could have done better. It's obvious. Shoot all the targets. So, but that time, okay, so the gun ran okay, so, you know, we're going to go to the next stage, and I'm still thinking, is the gun going to function for me? We'll see.
I'm going to stay way back from you.
I'm going to that wall first and then ducking in and then coming back.
Okay. I'm not going to get in your way, though. I'm going to try to stay
So
way
it
back.
says on your back, feet are off the ground.
Yep. Get ready. Stand by.
All right, so that stage, wow. So that was the Cowboy Town, they call it. It's a permanently, built stage with these wood log kind of slats and everything. It's permanently built with ports and whatnot. The start procedure, as you could tell, I'm looking at the sky, was on your back, laying on this table, and then with an empty gun on the table, go, retrieve the gun, load it up, and then go shoot them up. This was a 48 round course of fire, 240 points possible. That's huge. That is way huge. So what did I do wrong on this one, right? So actually the gun ran fine. I was a little bit deliberate in the shots, and especially after I missed a few steel, I was kind of slowing down and being very deliberate, trying not to miss anything. So, I got 25 in the magazine, so I shot, loaded the magazine, and you got those 2 targets over that low wall, so there's 4 rounds out of the mag, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4 more targets, so that's 8 more shots over in the shadow. You can't even see them. It's dark in there. The camera didn't pick that up, but there was 4 targets over there with a black piece of steel, which is just a piece of hardcover that every once in a while somebody would, hit the gong and, instead of the paper target. So it's just kind of there to get in your way. Luckily I didn't hit any of that stuff, and then started down the row of steel and missed several there. And there was 1 target through, there's 2 targets through a window really, but it was another one of these 2 paper targets with a metal, not a no shoot, sorry, but a hardcover kind of gong hanging in front of it, right? And it was like, well, you could get them both from here, you could get them both from over there, but it's kind of like, the left one's wide open from this side and the right one's wide open from that side. So the plan was to shoot 2 rounds on that, but then the gun went dry after having a few makeup shots. So I was thinking, I stood there way too long because the gun went dry, and I'm reloading the gun going, okay, well, I got to make that last shot. And I was just like, no, just go. You'll get it later. Just pick it up later. So I did, but I wasted, I don't know, a few seconds standing there loading the gun with the gun dry before I took off running to the other side. And then, marching down range, kind of deliberate because you got 2 targets stacked and you're not real perfectly sure where the break is from one target to the next, so you don't want to put 3 on one and 1 on the other. There's a miss on the one that's only got a single hit on it. So I was being pretty deliberate there. Made a couple mics on the steel. Gun ran dry again, so that was 25 rounds, and then plus another 19 rounds, I think, in the other magazine. So gun ran dry again. Reload, and then I cleaned the last, 6 steel pretty good, and then 1 through the port, and then you notice I came into the that last port. So I came into the port, and I was like this because it was pretty high. I couldn't extend my arms down, so I'm like this, shooting the 1 target, watching the holes appear to make sure they're there in case I need to make a follow-up shot because I'm not looking through the sights. And then you see me do a little bit of this, and this is the fishing for the dot. That is common among open shooters, like, where's that dot? The gun's not at the right angle here. And so I did a little bit of that, wasting some time, and then 2 rounds on the last target, and then that 1 makeup shot on the one where the gun ran dry on the left side. So that thing was nuts. And this gun was so hot, I was afraid it was going to melt my Kydex holster. I'm not kidding. It was so hot after a 48 round field course plus how many extra shots I took, I mean, I probably fired 60 rounds. And in how much time? Let's see, my time was way too long, almost 50 seconds almost, compared to the stage winner at 34, almost 35 seconds. I had more points just barely. I racked up 222 points out of a possible 240. Stage winner had 220 points, but hit factor is what it's all about, points per second. Her hit factor, yes, her hit factor was way better at 6.3, where I'm down here at 4.2. So, I just took way too much time, way too deliberate. Still, getting used to new equipment. I mean, come on, it's not like I'm going to win the whole shooting match with a piece of equipment I've never shot before. I'm just out there to have fun doing it, but, reporting to you, here's what the scores were. How it shook out. I was 6th overall, by the way, on the stage out of 10. So, what was that percentage? 67%. That sounds like me. But again, gun did not malfunction, but it's in the back of my mind. When's it gonna puke? When's it gonna puke on me? When am I gonna have to try to efficiently rectify that? So. That's always a problem. You want to be confident with your equipment, but it's borrowed gear. We're just having fun here, showing off a little bit about what can be done with these Glocks and hybrid ported barrels and all kinds of crazy stuff. So now we'll take it on down. Oh man, so I did not get a recording. I don't know. I pushed the button wrong or something on the camera, and when I tried turning it off, I wound up turning it on, and that was after it was all done. So I didn't actually get a recording of the Classifier, which was held in Bay 1. It was 9907. I think it's called Both Sides now, but I might be wrong. It was from a Bianchi barricade, 6 rounds, 1 per target, done. On the left side, 6 rounds per target, or 1 round per target, total 6 shots, done. And the third string, either side you want, 6 rounds total, 1 per target. So a total of 3 rounds per target, 3 separately timed strings. I did that all right, actually. 3rd overall for this match, 78% of the guy that won the stage. My hit factor, 5.4. Nowhere near good enough for much of anything. It's probably a solid B-class score, I would imagine. Stage winner at 6.9 hit factor. So from what I understand, it's pretty easy to make a master or a grandmaster score even, and I witnessed it happen more than once on my squad. So I don't know why the high hit factor is so low on this one if it's so easy for everyone to make it, but that's what I was told. Oh, it's easy, everybody makes grandmaster score. To which I made an inappropriate gesture to the man that said that and moved on. Because I never make grandmaster scores, not a chance. Made a few master scores, but not grandmaster scores. So anyway, the next, so I've got 2 more stages here recorded. Stage 2 of the match, and we'll show you that.
Are you ready? Stand by.
I'll take it.
Hip clear, hammer down, holster.
Gotta go full.
So, just right when I'm finished up shooting, you hear somebody in the gallery there go, "Good Lord, this gun is so loud." And I always double plug because I don't like earmuffs, especially in the hot weather. And right now in Washington, it's like 95 degrees or 90 degrees, and that's pretty darn hot for us. I don't like wearing earmuffs because of the heat and just because I don't like it on my head all day. So I always wear earplugs. I've always worn earplugs for all my shooting. But since being with Power Factor Show, so we've got it mounted to a pair of earmuffs, which I only really put on while I'm shooting. And I didn't really notice how loud the gun was, but everyone else was making comments about how loud this gun is with its hybrid ports. So A couple of things you notice, we're standing behind some barrels. That's the start position, and the gun is was unloaded on the table, but your mags were all on your belt. So as you're running up there, you know, you got the mag out of your pouch and you're ready to stuff in the gun as soon as you get up to it. So, you know, again, 25 round magazine. How many rounds? 120 points. That makes it 24. That makes it 24 round course of fire. So I'm thinking, I got one extra. I don't know. We're just gonna go for broke here, and it's either gonna work or it's not. But just gonna try and do it with one magazine. So I was not planning a reload at all, and got up there, loaded the gun, and fired 2 rounds pretty quick, and then fired 2 rounds really quick, which and then a third one on one target. So now I've wasted a shot. But that was my gun doubling on me, and I don't know. You know, I thought I solved that issue. It happened in the last 2 matches, I think, and I thought I solved the problem. I got a little bit more engagement on the tang of the striker between that and the cruciform. I didn't have a whole lot of engagement there before. It's just kind of how the gun was set up when I got it. I made some modifications to get a little bit more engagement, but I really do try and work that, ride that reset, as they say. And there's, you know, there's 2 ways of shooting. You got, you know, a guy that will pull the trigger, gun cycles, and it comes all the way off and all the way back on. That's one way, but I really try and ride that reset and not let the trigger out any more than it has to be. And so I'm always just right there working that edge where those 2 pieces of metal are working on each other. So I don't know. The gun didn't used to do that before. Maybe it's just kind of getting worn out. I don't know. Maybe I need to replace something else. Need to work on that. But so the gun doubled on the one target. So, and then I fired another shot because I wasn't really sure if it was on target. So now I wasted 1 shot. So now I've got no extras. And I think I must have put a third one on another target. Let me see, 25. Yeah, so I don't know. I must put a third one on another target somewhere. I don't remember. But I came up short on the last target, and the gun's locked open, and I've only fired 1 round on it. And I was like, at that point, with a course of fire that's that fast, you don't have time to reload and make up that last shot. I see people do it all the time, lesser experienced shooters, and you just gotta know that when the times are so fast on a course like that, doing so is detrimental to your hit factor. This is all about points per second. And if we're doing, what are we doing on this one? 8, 7 points per second. I don't know. I'm not going to do the math, but the points per second for that, just that one piece of the reload and make 1 shot will totally drag your average down. So it's better to just kind of take the miss and just kind of live with it. So this one I was 4th overall, so I ran it pretty good. Made good hits, except for that 1 shot I didn't take. It's not a failure to engage because I did engage the target. I did shoot 1 round on it, so I just only have the -10 for the miss. Looks like a hit factor 7.4. The winner was 8.6. Like I said, I was 4th place on the stage at 85%. So that was a fun one. That was a totally fun stage. And now we will take a look at the last stage. And yeah, let's take a look at the last stage.
Are you ready? Stand by. God damn, that thing's loud.
How much wasted time do we have here? So much wasted time. That was stage 3 of the match. Last stage for us since we started on 4. So much wasted time. So I timed that malfunction. I just, just rough numbers looking at the time on my video player. That was about 10 seconds. 10 seconds wasted on a malfunction, which was the same type of malfunction I had earlier in the match. I I don't know why I was so dumbfounded about how to clear it, but it took me 10 full seconds, you know, and I ripped the mag out, clear it, put the mag back in, and I'm like, oh yeah, forgot to chamber around. There's another few seconds before we get to start shooting again. So, man, just wasted so much time. So I clocked that at about 10 seconds. The other thing I see myself doing as I watch this again is I'm stabbing the gun out there and like, okay, let me poke that target, let me poke this target, let me poke, just leave the gun out there and look with your eyes, especially with something like this, look through the sights, find those targets, keep moving smoothly. You know, I fired bang bang real quick at the 2 poppers, hit them both, they came down, and I sucked the gun in so that I could take a step and then to see the next paper target. Like, so that's a waste of time too. But you know, the biggest time waster was that stupid malfunction on this thing. So I was dead last place on this stage. It took me 27 seconds, and the stage winner did it in 13. So yeah, I would have been a lot happier if I was in the 17-second range instead of the 27-second range. And actually did some math on that one to see what if I subtract 10 seconds from this run, all else being equal, my points, which my points were good, no misses or nothing. I shot 94 points out of a possible 110, so I wouldn't say they're good, but I didn't have any misses anyway. I had 94 points, the stage winner had 96, so I'm kind of right in there with how he shot, and everyone's in the 90s, it looks like. A couple, well, no, somebody got 106. But, so all else being equal, what if my time was 10 seconds faster, and just that one malfunction cost me 2 rankings in the overall standings of the match overall. I mean, one malfunction. So that's what it can do to you. I came in at 7th place as a B open shooter, B class. I haven't shot open in a few years. I don't even think I think the highest I had was B class at the time I was shooting open. Since then I made, you know, A class and limited 10. But still B class and open. 7th place at, what did I say, 68.5% to the match winner. So, you know, like I say, I wasn't trying to set the world on fire. I wasn't expecting much. I was just like, here's a venue to try out some new gear. So that's what it was all about. Hopefully enjoyed that. Hopefully enjoyed seeing, maybe possibly for the first time, a hybrid barrel in a Caspian Glock 24 slide. So with a slide ride optic, and this I don't know if I talked about it or not, this is an Optima 2000. This thing is ancient. They haven't made this sight in a long time, although the very same form factor, the very same product has been marketed as other things in the past. The identical product. Optima 2000. J-Point from JP Rifles. The one I used to run actually on my 40 Open Gun STI on a frame mount was called the Trigicon Red Dot. That's what they called it before the RMR was born. They had the Trigicon Red Dot. Identical product. There was one called a Fire Point, identical product. So anyway, yeah, so it was fun. It was fun to do. Hopefully you enjoyed watching that, and I think we'll just kind of end it there. We'll wrap it up there. I will be talking in the future kind of one piece at a time on building the 40 Open Gun with a traditional compensator, maybe not this hybrid barrel, but 40 Open Gun that I'm working on. And like I say, we'll just chronicle that build as we go. We've talked about the fact that I won the gun from GSSF that we're going to build it on. And it's essentially going to be a Glock 22, even though it's coming from Glock as a Model 31. And we've talked about the load so far, the bullets and the powder that I'm using, the Rainier 135s with the Hodgdon CFE pistol. And a little one piece at a time, we'll chronicle that Glock build. It's going to be fun for me, hopefully fun for you. And hopefully this was a fun video for you to watch and learn a little bit about shooting open in USPSA. So if you have any questions for us, please contact us by our email address at powerfactorshow@gmail.com. Of course, check out our website, powerfactorshow.com. Power Factor Show on Facebook, YouTube. Support our sponsors. That's Rainier Ballistics, Hodgdon Powder, Taylor Freelance, and JPL Precision. If you want one of those sweet STI open guns or limited guns, man, they're sweet. So check him out. Until next time, see you next week.